All right, it's time for another great episode of Get on Code, the Fly Guy Show. Get on Code. The code is empowerment. Today we're going through the plans for Black America. Joe Biden has his plan. President Trump has his plan. Thumbs up or thumbs down for either one of them. We're going to chat today. So we have some great people on the platform who are going to discuss this with me. Coming from, I guess, the DMV area. My good cousin Sam with Sam's Financial Corner. How you doing, Sam?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. Driving somewhere in the United States, maybe Puerto Rico. Who knows? She's all over the place. We got the Queen. I am Onyx.
Hey! I'm happy to be here. How you doing?
That's what's up. Doing good. Speaking of queens, we got the flame on queen herself, Queen Phoenix. What's good, ma?
Hey, I'm good. Glad to be here.
That's what's up. We have from Black Brand, my good friend Bashiri. Bashiri's a real powerful dude. And on the other WFG tip, we have my man King Phoenix. So we have Queen Phoenix and King Phoenix. How you doing, King? All right, you're a little quiet, King, so you may have to do something to bring your voice.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
There we go.
All right.
That's what we need to hear. That's what we needed to hear. Woo. Looking at these plans, I'm kind of blown away. What are your thoughts? I know that each one of us had a chance to kind of dive into Biden's plan, Trump's plan. What are your thoughts? Let's start with Sam. What are your thoughts, Sam?
I mean, oh God, this is such a. I don't even know where to start. I looked at both of their plans, and it's just that, of course, they're well written. They hit bullet points. I guess for me, when I'm looking at Biden's plan, it's more in depth. It says specifically what he wants to do and how he wants to execute it. But again, with the plans, given where we are in this country and everything that we have going on, for me, I'm looking at his plan and I'm like, well, is just read like more like rhetoric and a campaign slogan? I promise to do this. I promise. But will it be executed? Will any of it be executed? For me, that's the question.
Great question. I am Onyx. What up, Queen? What when you read this over, I know we got a chance to chat about Joe Biden's plan last year. Look at both plans. What are your thoughts?
Well, initially, I was excited that they had done a plan. When I looked at Joe's plan, the excitement quickly faded because I didn't like the name of it. I felt like it was that it was basically him just doing lip service. Then when I read the plan, I was more disappointed because there were no specifics, there are no measurables, and most of the plan, he doesn't even talk about Black America. He talks about all America. And I was extremely disappointed on his lack of depth on criminal justice reform, since he was the author or one of the authors of the crime bill. So he was specific when he wanted to lock us up. I need you to be specific about your criminal justice reform approach, and I need you to be just more specific overall. Weirdly enough, I liked Trump's plan a little more, only because it gave us measurables. It gave us things that we can hold them to. He specifically said for whatever 400 million jobs, I think is what he said for Black America, a specific amount of money that he was going to earmark. He gave us measurables. And all of us have been employed, even if we're not employed by someone, and even as self-employed people, we understand that you have to give measurables even when you're giving a plan, because we need to have something to hold you to. A business plan has specifics and measurables, because I need to know if I give you money, what you're going to do with it, what's going to be my return on investment. I feel like Biden didn't give me enough of my return on my investment if I vote for him.
All right, Queen Phoenix, what are your thoughts? You got a chance to look over the plan. What were they saying to you?
Well, both plans, looking at the title, was kind of disappointing. But as I read it, I agree with Onyx here that, again, with Joe, he wasn't detailed. I think it was more so just kind of the promises. It made me think about when you're in a domestic violence situation, and the person, when they're apologizing to you, they make all these promises to behave themselves for a good 2-3 months, and you go back to the same crap. So that's kind of how I looked at that, was more so from that standpoint of view, is that, hey, so much stuff is going on, so now, and I really want to talk about this a little bit later, but I really feel like that Black America, we're in a domestic violence situation with the presidents that's in the house. And now, because we're making it public, now they're coming back with all these apologies, trying to tell us how they're going to fix it. But no, it's just because you've been exposed. Like any abuser, once they're on Front Street, now they want to try to make it seem like that, hey, I want to fix this. And the same way with Trump's plan, but I get it. He has a little bit more measurables that you have in there with the 500 billion and being able to access in capital when it comes down to minority businesses. But again, when you're saying minority business, are you specifically looking at the African American entrepreneurs, or are you incorporating everybody in it? And as we look at it, we have a lot of people that's coming from other countries here, and that you might look at as minorities. So is it really going to be accessible to us, or as always, when they put stuff or money goes out, it goes to everybody else but the African American community? So when I see the measurables, the question I want to know, is it going to be specifically for us, or are you just making it out there in general for everybody, and then as usual we get the short end of the stick?
King Phoenix, I'll let you follow up your lovely wife, bro. What did you think? Your first thoughts about the plan, bro. And you're a financial professional, so what do you think, man?
Well, one thing about Trump, he's going to put more, as a business person, he's going to put more things hopefully as a business person, to set those things up there and to make that thing happen, right? So here's the thing with Trump, though, is that for a person who is, can I believe him? A person who's saying, hey, poor boys, or whatever that white hate group, stand by and stand ready, or whatever it was. Am I trusting that person to come forth with this plan of this amount of money to quote minorities? And am I seeing that? Has that happened? Has he done anything with that in this past 4 years to say that some of that money going to come specifically for us? We could talk about that, but looking at that plan, is platinum, but is it truly platinum? Because he knows what platinum is. It's not a platinum plan; it's more like a bronze. So, what I'm looking at that. Then you look at Biden.
Bronze?
Yeah, it's more like a bronze plan. Quite honestly, it's kind of like
that thing is.
It's really like nickel.
It's cubic zirconium, bro.
Yeah, for real.
Zirconium, man.
I don't know why you said platinum. Like, really, man? And because we know how much money can be moved. So if Biden plan, again, again, it's not addressing everything either. And again, it's not really going back to that where we could go into. It's not really addressing Black America directly also. So I don't really think any plan is really right there.
I don't believe them, man. I hate to. I want to make sure we get time to get everyone to give their opening remarks. Brother Bashiri, I know you're driving on the highways and byways.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, bro?
I'm still plugged in. I don't know if you can hear me clear enough, but I don't trust either one of them. Both of the plans are suspect. I think they're just talking rhetoric. You know what I mean? I think they're massaging issues. I don't believe promises and promotions and tokenism is equivalent to power. You know what I mean? And I don't think we should be dependent upon the schizophrenic system known as America. You know what I mean? I just don't believe it's in their best interest, and they've proven historically it's not in their best interest economically to do what's necessary to empower Black people. And they're not. Because when you're thinking about the competitive nature of the society, it's not in their interest to empower persons they've been competing against or don't want to compete against. You know what I'm saying? They rather sabotage us rather than give us a fair space to compete. But then they want to talk outside of both sides of their mouths and say, oh, it's a free market and everybody's, you know what I'm saying, on an even level playing field. Nah, I don't trust neither one of their plans. And I don't think it would be in our interest to waste a lot of energy perusing them. Honestly, I think we ought to take care of home first, and then from there we can realize what we need to realize, what's best suited for our collective interests as a group. That's just me.
All right. All right. Well, we're going to chop them up. Biden has the Biden plan for Black America, which is called Lift Every Voice. I thought that was a shot. Maybe it's a BET show. I don't know. And then Trump's promise. Now, I do think it's interesting that Biden has a plan and Trump has a promise. That's intriguing. But let me go through a couple of disclaimers. When we use the term African American, we're saying an American citizen of some level, not necessarily entirely, of African descent. And when we use the term Black, we're not stupid. We're not talking about a crayon color. We're not talking about nationality, legal status, where somebody came from. All right. So when we use the term Black, we're talking about a person some level of African or indigenous or Afro-indigenous Aboriginal descent. All right. So I wanted to get that out the way. On us with us today, we have the lovely iAmOnyx, and you can follow her on TikTok. You can follow her on Twitter. You're on Instagram too, right? Yep, she's on
Yes, I am.
Instagram. All right, so you can also find her on Facebook. So check out iAmOnyx. We have cousin Sam from Sam's Financial Corner. This man is the mastermind when it comes to the financial world. So check him out on YouTube. He has some great content on YouTube. We have King and Queen Phoenix, who are here with Queen Phoenix's new podcast. It's called Flame Up with Queen Phoenix. It's a beast. It's a burner. If you're not subscribed, you need to subscribe. Available wherever highly heat lit podcasts can be found. Yep. And then we have Brother Bashir. He and his lovely wife have started the Hampton Roads Black Chamber of Commerce. It's called Black Brand. That's him in the middle with the arrow pointing to him. I tell you what, the Chamber of Commerce here in Hampton Roads is lit. So you definitely want to check that out. I'm your friend Seko Varner, your friend in financial freedom. I provide credit repair, tax resolution, debt consolidating, and private money lending throughout the United States. So if you need money, I can put money in your pocket. Enough said. I want to shout out our sponsor for tonight. That's Tally and Twine. So Tally and Twine is a Black-owned business that creates and manufactures high-quality watches. So get your watch game together. There's a picture of him, his lovely wife, their beautiful daughter. They have watches for men and women. But today we're talking about Joe Biden, President Donald Trump, and their plans for Black America. So once again, Joe Biden's plan is called Lift Every Voice. And he says that African Americans can never have a fair shot at the American dream so long as entrenched disparities are allowed to quietly chip away at opportunity. He's running for president to rebuild our economy in a way that finally brings everyone along. And when I looked at both of these plans, both of them are like the all lives matter type plans. We're going to bring everybody along. To me, it's like they identify problems that predominantly affect us and say, we're going to help you by helping everybody. We're going to help you by, that's like if you have a headache and I'm going to help your headache by giving you something that's going to be great for your entire body. Well, your whole body will become better, yes, but it doesn't specifically address the headache. And I think that's what America keeps doing to us. And Joe Biden speaks it. He says it out front. Hey, I recognize what you guys are going through. I know that you guys have had historic disparities. We're going to help everybody. Yeah. And Trump, I thought it was kind of interesting. The Trump Pence Black economic empowerment. He even used the term economic empowerment preceded by the word black economic empowerment. When I saw that, I almost jumped out of my seat. The platinum plan. And then, like I said, I think it's more like qubit zirconium. So we're going to dive through both of these plans the same way that my brother T. West and I went through Ice Cube's contract with Black America. You can find that video on YouTube. We dove through Black Matter political, actually their lack of political agenda in the United States of America. Black Lives Matter does not have a political agenda. We're not disparaging anything they've accomplished. We're simply looking at political agendas. And we've defined and described and realized they don't have a political agenda. All right. This also, we went through last week. My girl Onyx and I went through Biden's plan for Black Americans with my good man T West, and we had Van G Williams on there. That was intriguing. I tell you, Onyx, man, people love you online. They gave you a lot of kudos for the concepts and the truth telling that you did as we went through Biden's plan for Black Americans. We also, in the past, you can find this online on YouTube, we went through the ADOS 101 agenda. And ADOS is American Descendants of Slavery. For some of us who really don't know, you can use the term ADOS or Foundational Black Americans. And it really kind of defines people who are of African descent here in the United States of America, whose ancestors went through Jim Crow period, they went through Reconstruction period, and they were also enslaved in the United States of America as being different than the blacks who came in the 70s, the late 60s, the 80s. You know, a lot of the people who came from Africa, Trinidad, Tobago, Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and all over the other places, most of them came in the 80s and the 70s, and they had a different experience. So when they use the term ADOS, the Foundational Black Americans, that's what they're talking about. So they're really kind of focused on lineage. So I just wanted, if you don't know about them, check out our Yvette Carnell. Check out Tone Talks. They started ADOS, actually restarted ADOS. Check out Afro Synergy News. He has a lot of great information. I'm giving you the thought leaders because I want you to know where we're pulling our information from. Check out the Queen Michi X. She has the Black Agenda Movement, the Black Agenda Movement by Michi X. We have TD Hip Hop Media. Yo, this brother is dropping some bombs. So if you're not familiar with TD Hip Hop Media, check out their content. Professor Black Truth is like what do I call him? Oh man, he's sensei. Professor Black Truth is sensei. So if you're not up on Professor Black Truth, check out his content. The good brother Jason Black from the Black Authority, check out his content because they're all showing that this election, the issue is reparations. And this is one of the billboards that Jason Black put up in New York City. He put up 3 of them. He also was the first one to put up a thing for Breonna Taylor. And make sure you subscribe to this particular channel, the YouTube channel in particular, Our Black Improvement. We have a lot of great stuff on here, and we're always making big things. So let's get back to the conversation, all right? Their plans. Who benefits from their plans? iAmOnyx. Who benefits from the plans that they've laid out for us?
It's hard to tell. I would like to say that we benefit from it, but oftentimes we don't. And I think that was mentioned earlier. So who benefits from it is them, because at the end of the day, we've never really held anybody accountable for the promises that they've made to us. We fall for the kiss on the cheek and coming out with the babies and making us promises, and then we look up 4 years later, we're right back in the same place where we're voting Democratic Party line. We are shunning other parties because we're not investigating anything that they've actually done for the Black community. We're just doing as we're told, and we just need to wake up. So at this point, until we wake up and investigate and hold them accountable to their promises and have our own party and make sure that we stand up, it's never going to benefit us. It's going to continue to benefit everyone else.
Did you see any benefit, Queen Phoenix?
I didn't really see any benefit to. Again, it goes back to what I was saying before. They're talking about everybody. But let's take a look at this. If you're looking at an individual who is already 5 steps ahead of you, and you're already 5 steps behind. If I say, hey, I'm gonna give both of you $50,000 to catch up, the person that's 5 steps ahead of you is still ahead of you. So in order for us to even start saying that the African Americans can benefit from this, is we first have to even the playing field. The playing field is not even. We're still behind. So no matter what you throw at us, we're going to constantly be behind until you level that playing field. You have to start putting things in place that's going to help our community come up before you can say, okay, now I'm ready to give you some money. Give me some money for what if the law is going to come back around and take that money from me? So it's really no benefit until you actually first, let's look at the things that's holding us back, that's keeping us oppressed, Let's look at those things first and see what we can do to change that to even the playing field. And now once we have laws in place that even the playing field, now we can talk about the capital. Now we can talk about moving forward from there. But if you still got stuff in place that's continuing to oppress me or hold me back, I don't care how much money you throw at me, I don't care how many jobs you throw at me, the laws are still in place that's going to prevent me from getting ahead.
You agree, Sam?
Oh, absolutely. Queen Phoenix, she's absolutely right. As long as the systems are in place, it doesn't matter what you do. And she's right. If I get a loan for 10,000 and another person, white person, gets a loan for 10,000, the thing is, well, we've seen it throughout history, especially when it comes to lending. No matter what their plans say, racism and the prejudice exist in every facet of society. So no matter what you say, no matter what you do, every plan, it could be well written, it could be well thought out. But as long as the system is in place and exists, and it exists in every person, period. So these people, if you tell them don't discriminate, they're going to say, oh, okay. And then guess what they're going to do? They're going to do what they want to do. Why? Because who wants to give up a system that benefits them? I mean, that's what really this boils down to. Do I want to give up a system that benefits me to make things equal with you when I know I can be dumb, idiotic? All I have to do is go to a school that has some prestige and people think I'm smart. And you hear a lot of white businessmen say on a regular basis, the people around them are smarter than them. Mm-hmm. But who's making the money? Not the team, he is. As long as we have this system in place, it doesn't matter what anybody writes, it doesn't matter what anybody says, it doesn't matter about the promises. Because all of it is not real, all of it is fluff. And reading Biden's plan, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to keep going. And I'm like, you're trying to just solicit my vote. At the end of the day, there's not going to be a change.
I kind of agree with that. I think in many ways, instead of plans, they're ploys to try to grab our support. How are you feeling, King Phoenix? I put P in front of King and I made a thing.
Hey, that's all right. You know what? Everyone's been saying this very, very well, right? One of the things that we have to look at as a Black America, one thing we have to look at is that economically, we are not coming to these politicians in a period of a place of strength usually. Right. We can't. Now, here's the thing. They do realize this. I would put this right. Trump and Biden, especially Biden, should realize his shot at presidency depends upon if we decide to vote for him. Trump shot at presidency depends upon if he could say, don't vote at all. Let's just be real. Right. If he could say, and that's why I believe that Trump did what he did in general, because he has no record or showcase to say that he was going to do X, Y, Z for Black America, period. I mean, just literally, he won't even say a hate group is a hate group because he knows those hate groups vote for him. Right? He won't say a white supremacist hate group is a hate group because he knows they will vote for him. If he got that ticket of voting, you don't want, I mean, if you have Black America coming to you and voting for you and say, hey, I demand something, those people are going to start looking at you as a sellout to that group. When we look at that as a sellout, white hate groups start coming to your show and say, hey, we want to advertise. We be like, Seko, you're a sellout. So I don't have any goal or say that Trump necessarily going to go through with this besides say, hey, just let's put enough doubt that I won't have to vote the other side. Now, here's the thing. Biden program by itself could give you enough doubt. But I mean, he's just trying to like add to it. You know, understand me? I mean, I'm just being real, right? And I understand that as that part. Now, something like Onyx has said before, unless we decide to become unified as a part to say, hey, if you're going to give us, if you want my vote, you have to do this. The plan shouldn't be coming from them. It should be coming from us. Say, hey, this is what I want. therefore I will vote for you. But it's not coming that way. Yeah, it's coming from them and say, hey, did I give you enough to say, hey, that you might think about me? And quite honestly, both of them is not doing that. And quite honestly, a Biden case, I do understand it because the Democratic Party have to include everyone, right? They have to be like, hey, I need my okay, I'm not going to be politically incorrect here, so I don't want to go that way. But I have to get my LGBTQ community. I have to get my. I'm sorry, I did that right. I have to get my. I have to get my. I didn't mean to be that to say that. I have to get my Asians and my Indians. I have to get everybody up in this place, right? He has to do it because he has to get. Yeah, it's yes. You know that, bro. I mean, I'm just saying. And I say that all jokingly, but I'm saying that being honestly, he has to get everyone to look at the plan because guess what? We are the mascot. I'm sorry to say it like that. Black people are the mascot for minorities, right? We are the upfront face. So when you say, "Hey, we want," I call it mascot. I apologize, but we there, and then therefore everybody else, and I'm going to say come back. But my wife and I and our business, we got recognized as being one of the top businesses in the Virginia, Maryland area, right, DC area. But guess that was like when we went there. It's supposed to be for blacks. It was a black business thing, but guess what? As every other minority up in that piece. Every other minority, and nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying when they say black, that's just an entrance of all minorities, Hispanics, Asians, Indians, even you got sexual preferences now included in that. Everything is included in that. So therefore, that's what that is. I mean, it's just what it is. I'm not saying that to be disrespectful to any other group, but we understand that. So when Biden's saying something, hey, that everybody, he has to say that because when you say, hey, I'm projecting this to Black America, that means that's everybody else too.
You know what? I hear you, bro, but on the campaign trail, when asked about reparations, Joe Biden immediately went to talking about immigrants and how they're the future. He said in his first days, he's going to introduce legislation that would be beneficial to the LGBTQIA community. Did I say it right? I don't know. I didn't do.
You did.
You
got it right. They're too many letters now. I missed just.
It's a lot of letters. I'm sorry.
I missed the 4.
I don't mean no harm of that. I'm bad.
Hey man, but my point is, they've said, and Onyx can definitely speak on this. You know, she has the solutions. We're going to make sure that she ends tonight because I know she got the solutions. But when Biden had the opportunity to say what he would do, he says what he's going to do for immigrants. He says what he's going to do for the queer community. All right, Kamala Harris says what she's going to do for immigrants, says what she's going to do for the queer community, says what they're going to do for businesses, what they're going to do for women. And I love the fact that they're doing those things, but they won't say what they're doing for us. Bashiri, am I wrong, bro? Am I wrong? I don't know.
No, you're absolutely right. I think everybody on the panel articulated.
Okay. Yeah, and I think so. What do we do? We're gonna let's step into some solutions before we go into a really deep dive into their plans. What do we do, bro? What do we do? Onyx, what do we do? What do we do, Queen?
One of the things we have to do is stop making excuses and stop acquiescing. King Phoenix did state that I just want to I kind of agree with what he said, but I kind of want to just preference it a different way. I think that we've become the Trojan horse for minorities. They say it's black, but everyone else is hidden inside. So, they pull up with a black face and everybody else pops out. I think that you were specific in when you said they always make promises to everyone else. But unlike our communities, everyone else holds them accountable. Unlike our communities, all the other communities don't acquiesce and try to assimilate to whiteness. We do. We want to be liked. We want to be appreciated. And we want to be accepted by whiteness. So therefore, we place them in the power to tell us what we deserve instead of us telling us what we want. So we have to find it within ourselves to unite and stop tearing each other down with petty things, because the things that unite us are far greater than the things that make us different as Black people. But we will beef with each other over small things in order to separate us and splinter the movement, instead of us getting together so that our voice can be strong. If we all decide on what we want to do, then we'll be as powerful as the Jewish community. Because guess what? Nobody comes for the Jewish community. Nobody comes from the LGBTQIA. Nobody. And if they do, they're completely shut down immediately, because guess what? They don't get bogged down in these petty differences. And I do want to say that the truth is that we have had a terrible, terrible history in America. So everyone's head start is great on us. So we're trying to figure out who we are. We're trying to figure out where we came from. We're trying to figure out what we deserve. We're trying to figure out how to ask instead of being told, because we have 400 years of them telling us exactly what it is that we need to do, what we can do, how we need to look, how we can wear our hair, what is acceptable, what skin tones are this. So what we've done is we take the ideology of white America, brought into Black America, and say, treat us as equals, but we still act like what white America told us that we must act like. We still believe what they told us about ourselves. So we have to do some housekeeping inside, and we have to keep a lot of things internal instead of airing all of our dirty laundry. If we have beef with each other, then we need to squash that amongst ourselves, and then we need to always be united. So until we have unity within the Black community, this is going to continue to happen.
I tend to believe that, but I also believe that we don't need to have grand unity. I think if we had 10 to 20% of us on code, I think we could really change some things.
Seko, I think that's what we have. I think we have 10 to 20%. I think you're talking to the 10 to 20%. And what happens is the other 80%, they come against us. When you think about it, white America, largely, they don't go against other white Americans. I don't care what they say. That's why, regardless of whether Trump feels something against those racist organizations or not, he knows that they're going to elect him. And even those Democrats, they don't go but so far against another white man. Even when you got to think about it. Joe Biden says things, but he doesn't go but so far against his fellow person. They have limits to where they go. We don't have those limits.
A quick question. Is anybody recognize this sister? All right. So, brothers and sisters, this is Jade Simmons. She's running for president 2020. She's an independent candidate running for president in the year 2020. I stumbled upon her information recently. Actually, one of the viewers from one of our last videos in a tweet said, "Hey, Seko, check out Jade." Now, that's somebody else we're going to have to check out, because just because she's a sister don't mean that she's a sister. But I just wanted to see if anyone else knew about Jade.
Well, I have a question, Seko, about that. How come our Black media outlets aren't telling us about Jade, but they're telling us about Kanye, and they're trying to push Biden down our throat? How come they aren't allowing us to make a decision about somebody that looks like us? Why are they getting upset with us for calling Kamala out, however you say her name, when she became a senator and she acted like she wasn't Black, and now that she's up for vice president, she's saying that she is. Why are they shoving those type of things down our throats? Why isn't Black media, who's supposed to have the Black interest, the Black voice, and the Black thought, first and foremost letting us know when there is a Black candidate for president? Because of course she doesn't have the billions and millions of dollars to get out in front of us. And the internet is such a huge place that anybody can get lost there. So I think it's a great thing that you brought her up, and that we all should be researching her and using our various platforms. If she's somebody that's for the cause, that we might want to show a pivot. Even if she gets 15% of the vote, I'm sure that'll get their vote, because one of them is going to lose. We know that white America is going to vote 50% right down the middle. We are the difference maker, and we need to start acting like it.
You know what? I do believe we are the difference maker. I had a couple of posts where I said, we can decide. The Democrats cannot win without us. The Republicans cannot easily win without us. We are the decision makers. And I agree. Interestingly enough, there are a lot of us who are saying different things. On the show that we had last week, Queen Onyx, I shared the point that there are some of us who, instead of voting for Biden or Trump, are writing in reparations. I share that there are some strategies for people who cannot vote for people who don't want to vote and strategies for people who are interested in being agenda voters. One of the things I brought up was how people are saying, I ain't going to vote. And I was like, if you ain't going to vote, then vote and write in something. And we got a lot of pushback from that. We got
Can
a
I say
lot of
something on that,
pushback.
Seiko? Can I say
Yeah, go
something?
ahead.
Yeah, you know what? That's so important because not voting really doesn't do anything. And being honest, I rather when I was in New York, I grew up in New York, and when I was and actually all my friends from the community, I'm sorry, Onyx said the community correctly with the name LGB, and she ended with the A. I was part with Fulani. If somebody know Lenora Fulani, I was part of her organization way back when I was in college, and that was heavy in that part. It was African American, and actually also really reached out a lot to the homosexuality community at the time at the area. And one of the things that um, we was really about the protest, and she actually ran for president a couple of times at a couple of years, a couple of different years. And you all know when Jesse Jackson was running, actually she was running, she had a campaign for her presidency during some of the years when Jesse was running at that same time. The thing is, if we are voting, if we do some voting, and let's say that sister that you just showed, which I never saw, and we give some votes to her that you believe in that organization enough, that actually brings credibility to that organization, right? And that organization, with more and more votes, eventually get more and more recognition. The reason why she's not getting recognition, nobody know who she is. She don't have any money, obviously, and all that kind of stuff. So we know that everything else is media driven. So it's a really having you have that up there, or maybe you could get in touch with her, even regardless of what her points of view is for the viewers to see her. That's the only way for that to come out, and then eventually votes will start to put to any group. But in my opinion, just saying restorations, because that's not a person or organization, doesn't really do it as much as if you could do it towards an organization. All right. And that if that organization getting those votes, it will help that organization get more legitimacy.
I don't disagree with you. I do think it's important if you have the ability, and anybody can jump in now. I know we were doing the panel and everything was organized at first, but we're free for all now, y'all. All right. So I was talking about my concept of the empowerment agenda. And the empowerment agenda is set up for a couple of people. Those of us who cannot vote, those of us who won't vote, and those of us who will vote. All right. And so I was going through this concept that I call the empowerment agenda. And I kind of referenced C to God, Charlemagne the God, because he did something that neither party is comfortable with. He said we need to start making demands for our vote, and our votes must be earned. So I said, for those who cannot vote, these are the strategies I'd like for you to employ. Reach out to your local and state representatives and ask them what they want to do for you. Help with voter registration initiatives, attend local and state political events, and demand that these politicians, seated politicians and candidates, do something for you. So I was discussing for those who cannot vote, and I said those who won't vote, because there's some of us who saying, I ain't voting. I don't agree with them. I want you to. But if you're one of those diehards who's saying, look, they're not on code, they're not talking about tangibles or reparations, so I'm not going to vote. My point was to get registered to vote, because if you're registered and you don't vote, you count. If you never get registered, you don't count into the voting pool. All right. And then I also said, if you really don't want to vote, you can get registered and you can do a mail-in and write in reparations. That way you don't even have to stand in the line. But that will definitely demonstrate that people are saying you have to do what we're asking for, because politicians are not leaders first. They're servants. They're community servants. They're public servants. They're supposed to do what we're asking them to do. They need to do what serves our community first. And so when I had this sign up, we got a lot of pushback, and a lot of the Democrats and a couple of the Republicans who watched the show really gave us some heat on that. We're not saying not to vote, but we're saying we know there's some folk out there who are saying, I ain't voting no matter what. And we just gave you some strategies that's going to help empower us when you don't vote. And I said, those of us who were party voters, if you're a Democrat, Independent, Green Party, Libertarian, Red, Black, and Green Party, Republican Party, whatever, speak to your candidates and seated politicians about your concerns. And if they won't support your concerns, why should you support them? And those of us who are agenda voters, it's the same thing. So I was putting this out, the empowerment agenda, which simply means we got to do things that totally empower us before we focus on empowering Joe Biden, before we focus on empowering Kamala Harris, before we focus on empowering President Trump and Mr. Spence and even Jade Simmons. We got to focus on empowering us first. We start with Homeland first. That's my position. So.
Well, you probably got pushback, Seko, because how dare you give Black people another option and think outside the box? How dare you say anything other than vote Democrat right down the ballot? Because I always say I'm bipartisan. I don't care. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm not any of those parties. I am Onyx, and you will earn my vote every single time. And I think if more of us had that mindset, then it wouldn't be weird for you to say, hey, if you don't want to vote for them, fight right in reparations. So how dare you be a free thinker? And I think that's what the issue is. They don't like Black people that think free. They still want us to say, give us free.
And it goes back to what they instilled in us back during slavery time. That's why they brought that division early when it came from the people in the house versus the people in the field. They knew that when it comes down to our community, they take our biggest strength and use it against us, which we are very a competitive by nature type of individuals. That's why we accelerate in sports. That's why we accelerate anything that has to do with competition. But now what they have done is taken that and kind of put us against each other. So now instead of us competing to bring each other up, instead of competing with, we're constantly competing against, saying that there has to be a loser. But when we can come back to our community and teach our community to take their strength and bring it together where we're competing together, where, hey, your strength enhance my strength. Let's pull our strength together to pull it up. One of the things that I really feel like that needs to break down to really bring us more strength in our community is the things that they're putting as being a felon offense. They're making us felony. They're doing things that is illegal and making it a felony for us to become a felon. So therefore they can take away our rights. And that's the biggest thing that's happening in our community. And if we want to start looking at agenda, that's the first thing that we need to start looking at. Some of these things that doesn't make sense. Hey, if you caught 3 times driving on a suspended license, now it becomes a felony when it shouldn't even go to that extent or that far. When it comes down to you not paying child support, now we're going to make that a felony just so now that person become a felon. So now we have the right to take away their rights. We have to now start looking at these things that's taking away our rights and see what we can do now as a people to raise our voice and say, hey, we need to get these rights put back in place for our people. Because that's where it all boils down to. When you get a person that says, I cannot vote, let's find out why they cannot vote. A lot of the people that cannot vote, they're not able to vote due to the fact of something that's dealing with nonviolence. Something that's was silly but written in a law, and they only push that law for our community, or they only push that offense or that conviction on our community. And that's the first thing they want to take away from us. Oh, first thing we're going to take away is their right to vote, their right to sit on a jury. Because why? If we start sitting on a jury and start raising our voice and saying, yeah, prove to us the evidence that you're willing to kind of take this counterpart and lock them up. Give us the actual evidence. I mean, juries there is just a bunch of people in the box that the prosecutor can't convince that the evidence that they have is enough evidence to send this person away. But is that true evidence? You see what I'm saying? So they're having things in place that controls us and keep us in this box. And like I honestly is saying, we got to start thinking out the box. We got to stop letting people control us. It's time for us to now lift our voice. Our voice has been taken away from us for years. When are we going to find our voice and say, no matter what, I'm going to speak up? No matter the fight, no matter the cause, it's time for us to flame up so we can speak up.
And Queen Phoenix, I think that was great that you brought up the felony aspect. Because I don't know, some of you may know that not only will they give us multiple reasons to get felonies, but they actually take some of the most powerful voices and try to silence them by charging them with felonies. And that is something I'm currently dealing with right now as one of the Portsmouth 19, where we're dealing with a situation where they're trying to silence Black leaders by bringing things against us that they have not done anywhere in the country, a situation that will then set precedent for other activists and advocates. So we must pay attention that not only do they create opportunities and situations where they can give us felonies, but then they will charge us in ways that they won't charge anyone else that look like us, so that it'll prevent us from being a voice in the movement. So we have to pay attention, and we have to stop giving our power away, and we have to stop just, I'm going to endorse them because they promised me that. So I just wanted to say that because that was a great thing that we don't look at and we don't talk about, because a felony against someone that's Black is far more detrimental than it is for anyone of any other race. We already have the deck stacked against us, and they give you a felony, your life is essentially over. And that's a sad case in America.
Yep.
That's a sad case in America. Sad case in America. I also wanted to make sure, we got a chance to kind of vent in general and organize and educate in general about the situation. But now let's chop it up about these plans. So Biden's plan has 6 foci and Trump's plan has 11. I think that, Sam, you mentioned that you thought that Biden's plan was more intricate than Trump's plan.
Well, not necessarily intricate. It was more that he highlighted certain things and said, I'm going to do this. So I don't think his plan is more intricate than Trump's. But when I look at, the ladies were right. When you look at what Trump said, he did give measurables. But again, when you're in business, you're going to give numbers. You're going to do business jargon. You're going to give that. And so a lot of people, because in America, we're taught you respect businessmen. Businessmen speak numbers. If I say certain things, whether you believe me or not, I sound smart, I sound intelligent. And if I say these things, you're like, oh, well, that's probably right. Looking at both plans, I really, as a Black person, just on a personal level, you want to have hope. You really want to believe. But on just a real level, when you look at both of their plans, no matter what you say, it's written word. Companies have non-discriminatory policies and all these other things. And we've seen in history everywhere that plans, your written word is beautiful and it's nice and it's eloquently put. You had someone drafted it, edited, but if there's no action behind it, it's lies. And Black people, we have been fed lies for far too long. What I want to say real quick, is I'm really upset that the fact that I never heard about Jade Simmons, and I just took a quick second to look. I wanted to say that. I'm sorry, I don't want to hijack nothing. But she been running since January, and don't none of us know about her? We will know about a fight.
Yeah.
We can know about somebody.
So will.
The Black girl who got arrested said, "You about to lose your job," and they turned it into a song. We will all know that. And we don't know nothing about this. She ain't come up on none of our timelines. That's real messed up. That's just beyond, how do we not know? Black Twitter did everything with Jada and Will and their situation. And I'm trying to go off topic. What I'm saying is all of that stuff will get boosted to a whole nother level. And we talking about a Black woman who's running. And don't none of us know about her? Ain't none of us heard about her? That's just a disgrace. It's just a disgrace, and we got to do better. We share so much stuff all the time. Technology and the ability to share information has never been like it is right now. And don't none of us know? That says a lot. So I'm sorry, I went off top. I'm sorry. I'll be quiet.
No. That's a good point. That's part of empowerment, is knowing what to share, when to take action. Brother Bashir, you haven't said anything in a minute, bro. But what's on your mind, man?
It's hard.
You're good, bro. You're good.
Okay, because I'm kind of competing with this engine. But yeah, I'm going to try to temper my passion with a little bit of poise. I agree with the majority of everything that was disclosed by the panel members, and I think that we always have to take into account the socioeconomic, the psychodynamic, and political, historical context of America, and racism in particular. Um, I wish that we could divorce our emotions from racism as such. And when we're able to do that, when we get out of the emotional space, we can get into some critical reflection and really
Yeah.
is just an economic enterprise used to maintain um, the caliber of inequities that will promote whatever goals that are commensurate with the values of that system. And that's all it is. Over and against the ability or the capability or the development of the potential of a target population to compete as such. Once we get into the fact that racism is just going to be used in America um, indefinitely, and we're not going to be able to convince people on a moral ground that they should do right by us, because that's not how the game is played. It's an ugly game, it's an ugly system, and sometimes we just got to develop a sense of realism. I heard somebody mention hope, and I think hope is a distraction personally. I think we need to deal with reality. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have goals, but I think we should know that there's a distinction between goals and hope, because hope kind of deals with that dream effort, and we need to get out of the dream space. We got to deal with where we are, okay? And so when I look at a Biden or a Trump, I look at both of them as racist, because in America, you almost have to be a functional racist in order to be successful. You know what I mean? Because that's just the fabric of America. You know what I mean? So like when people get mad and they get emotional, oh, Trump is just so egregious, and he's such a disgrace, and he's such a no duh. It's America. Joe Biden too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just wish we could be proactive rather than reactive, right? I wish we could understand that it's about economic empowerment. I hear a lot of people talking about having your voice heard, but the way the system is set up, having your voice heard can still easily be translated to you just following the herd, and nothing's getting done. You're running around in a circle, and you're having your voice heard, and you got a sticker on, and everything's the same. Everything's a constant, but they do these cosmetic changes, right? And everything structurally remains consistent. Power is not going to be given via policies written into law, folks. That's not how power works. You can't even write in reparations without understanding the full implications of what reparations really entail. If you're talking about reparations, right, Black people getting paid what they were owed as a result of the vagaries of slavery that they suffered historically, then that means the country would be yours. Okay, so reparations as such, the real implication is an act of war. I don't even think people really understand that that's what they're saying. When you look historically, and I'm gonna shut up after this, at the American Revolution, right? A key feature of that revolution was no taxation without representation, right? Essentially, to bring it up to modern terms, you were messing with my paycheck, Britain, or you know what I mean, England or whoever. I don't like the taxes you were taking out, and that's an act of war. You juxtapose that with our group, who never got a paycheck, but was rendered under the auspices of enslaved labor for almost 300 years. What do you think that sounds like to people who understand the dynamics of power and how power is wrested? Power isn't given, you take that. You write in reparations? No, you take that. And until we are able to build in such a way that we're capable to contend and compete, and if necessary, I don't think we're seriously reflecting or seriously talking about doing anything worthwhile, man. And that's just me.
Can I say something, Seko?
You gonna have to. You gonna have to.
No, well, I don't. I mean, it's probably going. Somebody else gonna have to say something because I agree with Bashiri, and I'm so glad that he brought up the emotional aspect of how we respond to things. When we were, when the things happened with, I'm sorry, y'all. That keep looking away. I got my grandson. When Trump went and denounced racism in front of everybody, right? We were so upset. And I was sitting here, if you notice and you follow me, I never posted anything about it because I really didn't care. And the reason I didn't care because you wanted me to waste somebody that had racist rhetoric against somebody who did racist policies. So I'm like, what are we doing here, Black people? Like, we mad because, we're just too emotional. And I'm like, so one put racist policies in against us, but he loves Black people now. And the other one wouldn't denounce the people that vote for him. And we were mad at the one that wouldn't openly denounce him, but we wasn't mad at the person who we're paying for decades. We're paying. You know what I mean? Like, we're paying for this we wasn't mad at him, and we're not mad at him, and we're ready to bet the farm that the man that went to that one of his best friends was the head of a Ku Klux Klan chapter, which is Joe Biden. We're willing to bet the farm that this man is better than the guy that just has the rhetoric. Because if we're honest about Trump, and I'm not a supporter of either one because I think that they're both racist, just to be completely and totally honest with you. But if we're honest, he's undone some of the things that the dude that we want to vote for has done to us, who won't even say that it's wrong. But we're not mad that Joe Biden hasn't come out and said the crime bill wasn't wrong yet. We ain't mad about that because Joe Biden kisses our Black babies. You know what I mean? Because Joe Biden appears to our emotions. And Joe Biden makes us feel the warm and fuzzies. And we around here calling him Uncle Joe. That's Uncle Joe, y'all. We like him, y'all, because we're emotional people and they get us that way all the time. So that's where I'm at with it. I agree with everything that Bashiri said.
Woo!
Can I say one thing? Well, I just read somewhere right now, we have over 35,000 Black millionaires in this country. Let's just hold that for a second. There's over 35,000 Black millionaires in this country. We haven't realized that, as this is say, this is a capitalist society. We have to pool our money together to be able to start addressing some of this stuff. This is not going to change by going over and hoping somebody else change it. We need to pool our resources and change it our daggone selves, just like everybody else do, by the way. We cannot focus on other people to do it for us. So now, if that is just being honest and true, right? I mean, this where is that? We need to get money, and that's where all of us that we understand this is a capitalist society. We have to now create jobs. We have to be the ones who create. We have to put our plan in place and then build ourselves and then go ahead and then demand, just like these other cultures. Why the heck can another culture just have over like 20 years in this country per se, and then demand stuff because they pull their resources together and create a pact? And we don't even know what that is. We don't have no political pacts. We don't have nothing in that area that to say to someone to do something. And yes, so that's where we are emotional. And so that's where we want to get, and someone said, I was in a conference of Black business. So I don't want to have a seat at no one else's table anymore. I want to build my own damn table. Okay. I want to build my table. I want it all on my seat. I want all of us to build our tables, right? Get our seat and then say, hey, our table is strong enough. And then we could go to these places and say, hey, look, this is what we're going to do. Because that's the problem. That's the problem where we at right now. And we're fighting for scraps and we're fighting for that stuff, right? So I absolutely agree. I mean, you don't have to be emotional, but in my opinion, though, we do have to have some hope, but we're placing the hope in the wrong place. We have to put back our hope on ourselves, hope back on the people who are working, put the bet on our generation that's coming up to go ahead and do the things that they need to do, right? I mean, to act, and we have to get some action to this, and just
all right.
Put it
All right. Well, speaking of action, let's act on this plan very quickly before we. Bashiri, bro, you did it to me again, bro. Woo,
man, I'm sorry, man. That's just how I give it up, B.
And then you got Onyx on
I'm a flame. I try to stay back.
Then you got Onyx on me, so I just need to just walk away.
But Seko,
The
you trying to talk about some plans that it ain't needed to talk about because it ain't gonna help us no way. So we keep talking about the plans, but the real thing that we talking about is what need to be talking about. I mean, we already know that the plans, what they are, okay? And the plans is not gonna move us forward. It's not gonna get our community where we need to get to. And what everybody else is saying is what we really need to talk about and what we really need to continue to talk about until it gets into the heads of our communities. Yes, slavery is over, racism, so what? We got to get to the point where we forgive what happened in slavery. We forgive and move on. That's why we're stuck. We want to know what's happening to our community and why we get emotional is because we haven't forgiven and we haven't let those wounds heal. You're trying to hold on to the past and also walk forward. It ain't happening. You have to now release the past. Yes, it happened. We can't change it. But you know what? We can forgive and make the decision today on how we're going to change the future. Because if we don't release the past, what we're constantly doing from generation to generation, we're taking the same mess into each generation. And that's why the presidents and all these other people can continue to give us the same bullcrap. When are we going to release the past? We need to release, move forward, and now establish what we need to establish to get going. Take the emotions out of it, and let's just look at the facts on what we need to be doing. So I agree with what everybody else is saying on the panel. The plans is what the plans are going to be. Believe me, I said it again. They are abusing us. We are in a domestic violence situation, and these plans is just their way to apologize, to sugarcoat, so we won't see the next punch or the next black eye coming. That's it.
I mean, well, Sister said it's true. I mean, if you think about it, I remember when the protests were starting and I was watching CNBC, and I'm like, let me just watch and see what happens. They're going to do one little itty bitty segment. No, they had black people I ain't never heard of, black people I ain't never seen. And I'm going to tell you what the protest meant to white America from an economic standpoint. They're like, oh, snap. See, I censored myself for you. I'm working on it. And they were like, and they're like, we about to lose this black dollar. We are not about to sit up here and lose all of this money. If you think about what we see, and I know a lot of us are older, but if you look at a lot of these young rappers out here, what are they doing? People complain about their skinny jeans and sagging and whatever else, but what they doing? They got bands, they showing money. That's not wealth. Black people we have never had the amount of income that we have had. We ain't wealthy. It's not generational wealth, but we're getting to a point where some of us are kind of rich now a little bit. And the thing about it is, when you look at celebrities and you look at certain people, we like, they got money. How come they not saying nothing? Because we don't talk about people being backed by somebody else. We don't talk about that. And the thing about it is, when you look at us as black people, let's say I was a baller. I'm a 5'5", and so there's no way. But let's say I was taller and I had skills. I don't got that either. But let's say I was baller. I had mad skills. I'm out here. I'm doing my thing. I'm earning money. Well, guess what? What am I doing now as a black man? I'm going to take care of my mother because she's always taking care of me. Any of my family members who need help, I'm going to help them out. Somebody want to go to college, and before you know it, I become the family support system.
Yep.
I got all these people relying on me. And so now I've never had this amount of money. I've never had the ability where, oh, I'm eating ramen, oodles and noodles, because I want to, not because that's the only thing I can eat. So now what we're seeing is we're going to see a lot of people who got money, who got clout, and they're not going to say nothing and do nothing. Why? Because now that I have something, a lot of people, we don't talk about the promises that people make to themselves. I'm not going back to where I was, and I know there are people who can ensure that I'll never have nothing again. I think within our community, and that's why I'm passionate about personal finance, We give so much of our money away. We are truly distribution centers for our money. We're earning more than our parents. Most of us, at least our generation, are first generation college graduates. You know, we got that student loan debt. We do. But we also are earning more income than our parents did. But if we don't utilize our money wisely, we poorer than them. And in like basically looking at it, that's where we are right now. We give our money away. And another thing, when it comes to empowerment, we don't know nothing about laws. We don't know nothing. We don't do nothing. We don't educate ourselves. This country, for all of its stuff, is a system of social welfare systems and economic systems. And we don't educate ourselves enough to know how to take advantage of things. We don't learn about business. We don't learn about streams of income. We don't learn about how to manage and leverage debt to our benefit. All we do is we still have the mentality of, dear God, I'm just trying to get by. And as long as we have that mentality of I'm just trying to get by, we can't organize. The thing about it is we are putting our voices out there, and that's great. But I'm like, where is the money? Black people, we have such a big economic print in the economy, but we don't know nothing about it. But again, if I can keep you ignorant, if I can keep you poor, if I can keep you distracted, you may care about something, but at the end of the day, you're not going to do nothing. Because when you don't have, or if I keep you in a place where your money is so messed up, all you're going to be thinking about is trying to get by. You're not going to read laws. You're not going to understand about reparations. You're not going to understand about the electoral college. I met someone one day, they didn't know the difference between a red and a blue state. And I just shook my head. So we have to work on education, and we can't rely on the systems to do it. We have to come together. We have to find different ways. And for me, I'm always passionate about all of us stepping our money up, finding ways to create generational wealth, talking to our friends. And in my videos, I'm always saying, talk to your family, talk to your friends, talk to your kids about education, because that's not the conversations that were had when we were growing up, but they need to be. We don't talk about business. We talk about get you a good government job. But I understood where that come from. Given the system that we live in, that was one of the best ways as a Black person to have a decent income, to be able to help people out and be able to live comfortably. But we're beyond that now.
Interesting.
So we all
so
if better. And
if we're beyond that, if we're beyond that, and Queen Phoenix says, damn to the plans, we got to work on ourselves. If we're beyond that, what's our next step? You know, if we're not going to look at the plans and choose what's best because neither one of them are good for us, what's our next step? King Phoenix, take us home, bro.
Look, well, with this election, this is where each person have to make a decision. I think on your last show, I was watching it. You know, there's different ways you can approach it. Like you said, there's agenda voting. There's people who are going to vote a protest to. Yeah, I just don't like this current administration. You know, they believe, you know, the next administration that Joe Biden might be better. Some people might believe that, hey, Trump might be better. That just, you know, regardless of how he feels about me, if he's doing better business, you know, or whatever, you know, that might become better. Here, I would say for this election, no matter what, I agree. I think you have to vote. You have to vote. You have to put your voice in. If you don't, you're not. I'm gonna put it this way: our ancestors have fought for this. You should be able to do something. Okay, now you don't have to vote. You don't have to vote for any one candidate. Like you said, I mean, brother, you did an amazing job on what you can approach. I mean, but just don't leave your vote on the floor like you're pouring some beer out for the homies. Okay, that's just, to me, just don't make any sense. That's just in my opinion. Now, you know, now with that, just in my opinion, though, our community needs to start pooling our resources together. with common sense,
Okay.
like my man Sam was saying. We have to
Okay.
we have to understand that we have more economics than we ever had before, and we have to pull that together to create an agenda that we all do want to agree and back. So let's say this sister, actually Onyx for president, Queen Phoenix for president, next 2024. Hey, look, y'all go, right? So y'all do this thing, right? And actually then back it. Guess what? Now it could go on to all the different shows and so on because I have money behind it, right? But right now we don't have no money behind it. So that's just my thing. I am like my brother Sam here, finance, and you have to get that right, because if we don't, in this capitalist society, we're just shooting blanks. We're not doing anything if we don't have no money, right? And so we have to get that. We have to make that happen.
Brother Bashiri, we letting everybody get the last words in.
Cool.
Great. You changed the whole conversation last time. You got Queen Phoenix to flip, Onyx flipped. I'm scared to let you talk. But bring us home, man. Your last thoughts. We're gonna have the ladies with the last words, man.
Cool. My last thought goes as follows. To the point that my brother made about the our community's economics. We've always had money historically. I mean, let's just keep it a buck. Quite frankly, at one point in history, we were the money. You know what I mean? We were the commodity. And so currently and historically, other ethnic groups have come into our communities and gotten wealthy. So money hasn't really been our issue, having money. No, organizing our money has been the issue. Organizing our spending habits have been the issue, which is why for me, voting without economic sensibility is a toothless effort. There's not a bite. And you're not going to get respect unless you're a threat. You know what I mean? And the only thing that counts for anything in this country in terms of having a kind of a voice, if you want to say that's what you have, is your capacity to inflict some kind of economic detriment to the system. Money moves things, people. You know what I mean? You need money for infrastructure. You need money for raw materials to be processed. These things don't occur because I checked something or I pulled the lever at a ballot. That doesn't occur. I like to look at history. Historically, we didn't vote to get the vote. You know what we did? We boycotted. We employed economic resistance and we broke the arm in a way that, hey, you're going to recognize me in this system. If that's what Black people want to do, if they want to be recognized in the system, then they need to go about it in a way that's going to be cogent and critically reflected upon so that it can be effective. But we can't just say, because I participate in the system, that I'm somehow empowered thereby. Because like another brother said, these laws on the book are just laws on the book. They can say whatever they want to say to us, and we can't really hold them accountable. You know what I'm saying? Because we're not a threat. We don't become a threat until we recognize our own intrinsic value, our own intrinsic worth, and we come together collectively as a community and move as one. If we stay divided, if we stay without unity, it's not going to work. And I'm one of those people that's not voting. You know what I mean? Unapologetically, I'm not. No, why? I could better use my energies towards building something worthwhile so that when I do come to the table, I can come with power and influence and I can leverage legislation, because let's keep it a buck again. These politicians are for purchase. Point blank, period. They're going to move based upon who's lining whose pockets. They're not going to move because of your morality. It's the right thing to do. Your morality don't mean nothing. It's the money. You hit them in the pocket, then they're going to be able to, they'll bend to your will. Until you can hit them in the pocket where it counts, they don't care how much you vote. That don't mean a god, and I'm censoring myself, thing. You know what I mean? And I love y'all. That's it. I'm done.
Okay. All right, Brother Bashiri. Well, you answered the question. Brother Antoine Hines asked the question. I'm going to end with us all answering the question. You've already answered. We're going to shoot up to Queen Phoenix with her last words, shoot down to iAmOnyx with her last words, and then let's end by all answering the question. Queen Phoenix.
All right, my last words in all of this. What can we do to change it? My thing is, it stems back with money. Yes, our community always had money. We just don't know what to do with it. And the biggest thing is education. Education is where it is. They have to know. Our community, we think that we come from no money. That's the problem. The upper class has made us think that when they talk about lower class, when they talk about these communities that's underserved, the first thing they want to pinpoint is our community, but that's not true. That's not true at all. Our community, if you really look at it, is more so in the middle class area. We just don't really know what to do with the money because our community always have money. If you look at how much money our community spend on an annual basis, if you actually did your research, leaving out our community on a yearly basis, it's about over $72 billion that is spent. Just African American community. That's how much money we spend on an annual basis. The question is, out of that amount of money, guess how much of that money went back to Black businesses? Less than 1%. Now you need to ask yourself that question. If we are spending money, that means that we have the money. So I would agree wholeheartedly with Bashir, what he's saying. We've always had the money. But the question is, what are you doing with your money? Where are you putting the hands of the money in? Are you bringing it back to your community, or are you putting it into another community so they can now have the power to now be able to choose the agenda and what's going to happen? We have to bring the money back home. We have to help support our Black businesses. We have to start helping support our Black community with our resources. Once we pull our resources together, once we start lifting each other up, then we can put agenda in place, because guess what? These people can't get into the president's seat without money. Why do you think that they're going out there campaigning? They're campaigning for money. That's what determines that. So my thing is, if we actually bring as a community our resources together, we can select our own person that we want on the ballot. We put the money behind them. And we say, okay, we want to put this person on the ballot because they're going to actually bring forth our agenda that we have in place, instead of letting other people tell us what they're going to do for us. We can make, as Sean said, as the King said so elegantly earlier, let's build our own table. Bring our resources together, build our own table, and for 2024, we can have our very own Queen Onyx sitting here running for president, and we all backing her and putting millions and millions and millions of dollars towards her to make sure her name is up there on the ballot. Guess what? We can put our first Black woman in the White House, because money talks. Bullcrap run the marathon. So are we going to start now putting our money where our mouth is, or are we going to continue to talk? So, Onyx, I'm kicking it over to you, girl, because next president.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the 2024 President of the United States, Queen iAmOnyx.
Thank you all. Thank you to all of my constituents. No, I'm just playing. First of all, Queen, I was thinking that we was gonna do some type of tag team thing, so we need to go ahead and work out who's gonna be the president and who's gonna be the VP, because we both need to just. We don't even need to wait to the end. We know what our ticket gonna look like. But the big thing is, I think that we're all talking about the money, right? We know that money is the issue. And one of the things that our one of the greatest Black leaders, I think, of our time, who is underrated and underrespected and not supported by us, is the great Lewis Minister Farrakhan, when he talked about it, put the numbers out there, that if we all pooled our money, it would be in the trillions of dollars, and we would be the 9th wealthiest country in the world as Black people from America. So that's how much money that we have within our community. So we need to understand that. One of the issues that we have, though, within the Black community and putting people like us on the ballot is that we don't give Black people the same grace that we give white people. We will give We are up here talking about giving Biden grace, giving Trump grace, giving Kamala. We give everybody grace except Black people. Now, let me tell you, I done got into it with many Black people. And I'm going to tell you this, with Black organizations, with Black leaders, and not one of them can tell you that I ever got on any type of platform and aired them out. Not one of them can ever tell you that happened, because guess what? I feel like we need to learn to take care of our laundry in-house and never ever splinter what the appearance is, because we can work it out if we all have one mind. What they say in band, what is it, drumline, one band, one sound. Who cares about the petty differences? One band, one sound, and that's the only way that we're gonna make it. We know it's the money. We know that we don't support each other, so we have to figure out how to do that. We have to, like I said, give each other the grace that everyone else gives. I don't want to keep talking, because I think everyone else, we're all saying the same thing, and we're basically saying it differently. But I do have one thing that I ain't forgiving them for nothing. I'm gonna just go on and say that. I ain't forgiving them for nothing. And this is why I say that, because nobody talks about forgiveness more than Black people. They murder a Black family, and we the first people on the news saying, I forgive them. I accept what happened, and I accept it, and I understand it, but I don't need to forgive them. That is I feel like something that they taught us to control us, because they don't forgive us for nothing. They holding our feet to the fire for everything. They ain't forgive us for the lies they made up about us yet, and we still trying to be like them. So that's the only thing I think, that we just need to be honest about where we stand. We need to be truthful. We need to move forward. And we need to unite. And I think that this is a good place to start a Black pack right here. I think, Seko, I nominate you to head that up and start the conversations, because I think you have some great brains right here. We all think differently enough to not be herded, and we all think alike enough to have one band, one sound. So I think that we just need to start thinking along those lines, so that when 2024 comes along, we're ready. And I am voting. I don't know who I'm voting for yet, because I think everybody evil, and I'm really tired of choosing between the lesser of two evils, racist against racist, because you're not going to convince me some 76-year-old white man and the other one 74 years old know what's best for Black America. There's no way that you're going to convince me of that.
Well, I want to say to Antoine Hines, he obviously came in late, because there's a third option. Well, actually, there's a fourth option. So it's not just Trump or Biden. We have Trump, Biden, Simmons, Black empowerment. I'm personally voting for Black empowerment. I'm waiting to see if either one of those two major Republican and Democrat parties, and now I'm going to check into Sister Jade Simmons and see what she's talking about in terms of three things that are important to me. The three things would be reparations for the descendants of American slaves. All right. The second thing would be immigration that helps American citizens first. The immigration policies currently, and the ones that are being proposed by the Biden-Harris team, are plans that are not going to help us first. I think we help us first, and then we can help other people in America. And then the third thing is, I want to see some judicial system reform where people's feet are held to the fire. So if I'm a custodian of somebody and I have custody of somebody and they're harmed in my custody, right now I'm punished. The authorities should be punished when people are harmed in their custody. When I harm another American, I'm punished. If our authorities, our first responders, harm Americans right now, they're in many ways not punished. They're Americans too. So if I harm somebody, I get punished. I think it should be. So that means we got to get rid of qualified immunity. If I can get sued, you should be able to get sued as well. I think so. We talk about level playing field. They always talk about level playing field when they say we don't want to give reparations, or we don't want to give favorable tax treatment, or we don't want to give special incentives for minorities or for Blacks. But when you say we want the level playing field with the judicial system, oh, you guys are crazy. No, we got to. One of the people that's running now was simply saying that we have to maintain qualified immunity because it's a hiring incentive, and we're having hard enough of a time hiring police officers as it is. Now, look, I love police officers. I hate how they've treated me. I hate how they've treated the community, and I can love and hate at the same time. But to say that allowing somebody to get away with a crime without being punished is a hiring incentive, I have to ask you, Michael, who are you trying to hire? let me back off. So if whoever, whatever ticket says that they're going to support those three things along with the other, I do like Biden's plan. I went through it and I was impressed with some pieces of it. Now, back in February when he first released it, it was a piece of trash. So it's not as trash as it is now. Now, both of them right now get the thumbs down because both of them say, I recognize there were specific things in Black Americans that need to be addressed, and we're just going to help everybody. And that doesn't work for me. That does not work for me. So at this point, I cannot say who I'm going to vote for because I'm giving them the opportunity. I'm giving them a little grace to come to have a come to Jesus moment for them to come and say, you know what? We really got to do something. We really got to do something right. I'm going to give them a come to Jesus moment. They really got to do something right. But if they don't, I'm voting for Black empowerment. King Phoenix, are you going to vote?
Oh, I definitely vote. Actually,
you already said so.
Yeah, actually, I already voted. Just to put that out there, because for some of y'all, you know, right now you might need to vote early. You can vote, go vote. Right, I have voted actually already. So put my ballot in, not by mail, by the way, because I'm concerned about Trump. So here's the thing, right? I'm going to put it this way, just so that you understand me as a business person and as I had almost thought Trump would be a decent person in office and actually did some things for businesses when I was looking to put him in at the last election, him and Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
So now, just looking at what he's done,
Hillary,
right? Now, I was thinking about him. So just to say, I did not have a huge just a dislike for Trump. But now, just seeing this, I'm just going to be real because some of the things you just said, Seko, is very, very important to me. My part is this. If I look at this, I don't think they're going to do anything for the Black community, period, right? So who's going to hurt the Black community worse right now? If, in my opinion, if Trump get back in, he will do nothing to stop police brutality. It would not do nothing to stop police. Well, that's and then see on that second part, I don't necessarily agree. I think we can and work towards Biden Kamala ticket to do something with that. Because the National Party, and I want to put it this way, I don't have a lot of time, but these younger millennials and younger, they're all about hip hop, and white people are protesting and being in the streets and getting tear gassed and shot at. Guess what? They're are part of the ticket that pushing that, and they will push that because they're the ones who also got shot with the rubber bullets. It's not now Black people, it's white people too. So now they're going to say this fascist society who's going to have a militant police force. No, we need to change that. So yes, out of those two groups, Biden. Okay, that
you voted
right,
already.
because it's not necessarily just about us. Not about us, because white teenagers,
you ain't got to explain
20-year-olds,
bro. You good?
Is that right? So I'm saying that, guys, for that on that part. But that's my Well, I have to make my.
You can rock with me after the vote, man.
Hey, that's who I would vote for. Let me shut it down. Shut it down. Yeah, that's who I would vote for, and that's why. I mean, I don't.
But let me say this. Let me say this, bro. There are a number of us who have already voted. There are a number of us who are just going to say, I got to pick the lesser of two evils. Now, I personally don't vote for evil. I'll abstain because if you look at a politician's record, they'll either say yay, nay, or they will abstain when it comes to voting on policy. And I will do the same thing to them that they will do to policies that affect my lives and the lives of my family. With that being said, I ain't got a problem with who you vote for. I don't have a problem with who anybody votes for because we have the opportunity before rendering our vote where we can leverage to get the things that we want. And after somebody's in position, once they're a seated politician, we then have a second opportunity to leverage our agenda. So we have to do it in the front and we have to do it in the back. So if you've already voted for the Biden-Harris ticket, then great. Now, after the election, whomever wins, we're going to have to put a knife to their neck and say, now you're going to have to rock with us.
Regardless who wins. regardless.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
with Onyx.
Regardless, it
And
doesn't
Fiend, we
matter.
need to
It
pull up
doesn't
together
matter.
that pack. So with everybody else, let's
What
pull
the
together
packs?
that pack.
Yep, yep. Hey, Queen Phoenix. Same question.
Well, my
Voting.
my thing is, I'm definitely gonna vote because my ancestors fought for it. It's my right. I'm gonna put my vote in. I just don't want to say who I'm gonna vote for yet, but I'm definitely gonna.
Okay. Well, let me push back on that a little bit. Our ancestors fought for us to have the right to vote. I personally believe it's up to us to make that right even more valuable. And the way we make it more valuable is by demanding something for our vote. I know that you're a very biblically based scholar, and you know that there's a part in the Bible when they talk about a person, a master walking away and saying, "Hey, I'm going to give you guys some talents or some things." And one person took their talent and buried it. They didn't vote. All right. Another person took the talent and gave it back at the same value. Our ancestors gave us the right to vote, so I'm going to vote. That's the same value. But there was another servant, a good and faithful servant, as the Bible describes him, who came back, and that vote was more valuable. And we have to become those good and faithful servants of the strives, the sacrifices, and the horrors that our ancestors went through. And the way we do that is by making demands for our votes from this point forward. So I hear people saying that they died for the right. They died for the right. They didn't die for the vote. But that's just me. That's me. And I love the fact that you are going to vote. I love the fact that you honor our ancestry in that way. Let me get my last person, Brother Sam, because Bashiri's already answered. Are you going to vote?
First of all, it looks
Is the
like
question.
Bashiri got a whole nother thing he wants to say. And I actually, if we had more time, I'd be like, I'm listening.
Need part two, baby. Need part two.
I agree with Queen. I definitely think about that. I mean, because I was thinking about today with everything I've been pushing myself to do. Even the place that we are in, as hard and difficult as it is, it's because somebody else's blood is their life, and so I want to make sure that everything I do, I honor and respect it. And so I've been pushing myself to learn more about politics, pushing myself to be better, period, because education and knowledge, that is the real power, and no one can take it from you once you have it. Once you learn how to read, and you think about some of our ancestors who didn't, and they learned how, once you have it, it can't be taken from you. So I'm definitely going to vote. I'm just going to say this is the first time that I felt like, does it even matter? Now, I'm not saying I'm not, but it's just I've had this feeling like, does it? I'm saying, but that's it. That's all I'm going to say.
All right, so Bashiri, I guess he's going to shut it down. He's going.
Nah, man. Listen, I come in love, peace, and confrontation, man. I'm trying to dial back my passion. I'm very passionate about obviously my people and obviously where I think we need to go. You know what I mean? But have it, man. It's for us. All I'm gonna say is this: I love our ancestors. I recognize, you know what I'm saying, the sacrifices that they put forth. I understand that their lives were taken, but I refuse to be emotionally manipulated because of my love and reverence for them to participate in the system that murdered them anyway. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, for me, I understand, okay, like they died, but I think about chess moves too. One of the most prominent features in playing chess is misdirection. And I apply that same logic to the place of primacy that they put on voting. You know what I mean? Without talking about the economics. You know what I mean? Because if I can get you to divorce your energy from something that's going to yield you tangible results, and I can get you to invest in something that's going to be satisfactory for your nostalgia, or something that just is representative of an idea. They do that a lot with King and his image. And anytime we start to get more militant and we start to come together about, no, we're going to be confronting. They say, remember the dream and remember King. And they tell us how to resist and they tell us how to, well, he wouldn't do it. Like, no. I'm not going to allow you to utilize the memory of my ancestors to divorce me from developing a militancy that's going to bring about tangible results. Okay. And for me personally, the voting system is too corrupt to yield tangible results.
I don't know what happened to Bashiri. I don't know.
I'm still here. I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
But like, hey, Dr. King said we're coming to get our check. He was about reparations.
Absolutely. And they killed him for it. Because like I said earlier, and I'm going to leave it alone, reparations is really an act of war, folks. If we get what they owe to us, they have to give us the whole country. The thing is, they don't give countries. You take that. You know what I mean? So if we're really thinking about reparations, that means we have to be serious about our economics. We have to be serious about building up our infrastructure. We have to be serious about our education. We have to be serious about raising our consciousness, right? So that we can move from a place of power, right? And not just a place of promise. Because we're getting a lot of empty promises right now. And everybody's going to talk. They talk. Like my sister said earlier, this domestic violence parallel she made is ingenious. Because they're going to say whatever they need to say to quote unquote get us to the polls like some hoes. And I'm going to leave it right there. Love you guys.
That's it right there.
That's it right there.
Get us to the point. I gotta put that in the
mic,
chat.
Man. That's wrong.
That's it.
Ooh. Oh.
But yeah, stay tuned for the Black American and domestic violence, because I'm coming with it, and I'm letting y'all know so I can make you aware of how they're abusing us.
My last thing, I'm gonna end by saluting Bashiri by saying, "Ho!" Hey, I love all of you. Thank you for participating. We already gave our last words. I want to say that I wanted to shout out our sponsor. Our sponsor is Tally and Twine. If you love a high quality watch, a high quality fashionable timepiece made by us, made in the great state of Virginia and made in America, then pick up your watch from Tally and Twine. They have beautiful watches for men and women. Can't get better than that. I love my Tally and Twine watch. And make sure you get in contact. I'm going to let Queen Phoenix and I'm going to let King Phoenix and I'm going to let Sam talk about their services as we end. Yep, Brian. Yep, team. That's it. That's it. Oh, root to the bras. Sam, talk about your services very quickly, bro.
Okay, so just very quickly, it's hard to talk about after he dropped the mic like that. But so basically, my YouTube channel, and I have a book that's coming soon, and I have some courses that are coming out. My main thing is personal finance and getting everyone to understand that there's power in economics, and that when you utilize your money effectively for yourself, you can begin to build generational wealth. You know, there are a lot of systems that are in place, but we don't utilize them to our benefit, and we don't know that they exist. So for me, education is power, because once you know something, can't anyone take it away from you. So that's where I'm at.
All right, we're gonna have to have your commercial in the next show. All right, King Phoenix, and then we'll let the woman have the last word. You guys want to talk about your financial services for a second?
I'll just go do that, man. And I want to say, way to go, Sam, man. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I've been with my wife and I have had a financial service firm, YT Phoenix Enterprise. And if you want to check us out, YT Phoenix, YTPhoenixENT.com. Check us out. And we actually also, for those who are Black businesses, because we really want to support our Black businesses and helping them grow, do accounting, financial services, all the things, payrolls, all that area, business here, your business taxes, all those things to make that thing, make your business grow. We want to become your value partner in that area to help that build, do business development, all the areas of that. And we've been doing it for over 12 plus years, actually almost 15 now altogether, and also doing stuff on the personal side, but we're really building up our business side and making that going, because again, just on the side, we need our Black businesses to grow. So if you reach out to us on our website, and we do across the country, by the way, through our services. So it's not just here locally in the Virginia area. So, but we do it across the country. And I wanted to say, is there anything else I'm leaving out? Nope, I think that's good. But that's the best way to reach us. And hey, thank you, Seko. Can't hear you. I can't hear you, Seko.
I said, Queen Phoenix, did you want to say anything, or did the hubby say everything right?
Yes, I just basically want to let you guys know that I have a Phoenix Rise movement, aka Queen Phoenix. You can check me out on my website, which is www.queenphoenix.com. Whether you're going to find there, I wrote 2 books. One, 6 Ways to Conquer Your Fear. And the second book is Can You See Me? Can You Hear Me? I'm crying and no one's listening. And what this movement is about is actually helping domestic violence victims, not just females. Most people want to focus on domestic violence victims as just females, but what we're doing is bringing awareness. I know probably you don't even know that this month is actually Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Most people want to talk about breast cancer, but it's also Domestic Violence Awareness Month this month for the month of October. So wear your purple ribbon for that. But we actually are here to meet you where you're at and help you through your storm. Most people want to help you when you're ready to leave. We're here to help you in the middle of it. We're here to provide the counseling that you need, because we're like, you got to break out the mental jail before you can break out the physical jail. So therefore, that prevents you from going back into the same situation. So we help you with the counseling, the mentoring, and the coaching, and help you through the process. So once you leave, you can actually stay gone. In these books, they actually tell you the tools that I use to grow myself, to find my inner voice, and to find my inner strength. So check us out. If you want to reach out to us, we are on Facebook. We have the Phoenix Rise Movement YouTube channel, where we have inspirational videos, motivational videos. We are here to help you, whether you're any age, whether it's starting off with child abuse all the way through. We're here to help anyone get through this process, as well as teaching loved ones how to support their family that's going through it. So we're here to teach all angles, not just one specific angle, but to show one, how to prevent it. So you're going to hear more through the podcast on one, how to prevent it, and if you're in it, how to get out of it the safest way possible. So just stay tuned. It's a lot that's going to be coming from Queen Phoenix on how we reduce this percentage of domestic violence in our community.
Wow, that's powerful. Queen and King Phoenix, my beloved cousin Sam with Sam's Financial Corner. I didn't say Sean this time.
Yeah, I'm proud of you for that. I'm so proud of you.
Hey, salute that. Hey, we're out of here. You guys have a great night. Be blessed. And yeah, be blessed. This show was brought to you by Positive Vibes Incorporated, our consulting services. We do credit fixes. We do tax resolution. We lend private money and debt consolidation. So if you need some of these services, we're waiting here for you. Credit fixes, tax resolutions, private money, and debt consolidation. Make sure you call Positive Vibes Incorporated.